Hey there, everybody. Thanks for joining me for another one-man review. Today I've got a really interesting project by George Wylesol, 2120. This is a book that Gareth Brooks told me to get. When we were talking about Cyberman, he was talking about comics' unique ability to mimic like the screen experience of a computer, and he told me I needed to get this book. It just came out from Avery Hill Publishing. I think he had read it because it came out earlier in the UK, maybe. Um, but this just came out for a US release from Avery Hill. So this is a very, if you like uh, Jason Shiga's work, you'll like this. It's not exactly a choose your own way book, but it is an interactive game book in the way that Jason Shiga's work is. And I just noticed this is page 0, which I was looking for last night because one of the pages says go to page 0. Um, this is like an old HyperCard game. If you're old enough to remember when HyperCard was this exciting thing, I remember doing it in junior high. You could build like a little walkthrough video game where you'd make a card and then you could click on elements and you would control. It's basically how the internet works now with hyperlinks, but you could control all the buttons that would lead you to other pages. It was behind games like Myst and stuff like that. So this has a choose your own adventure element to it where you can examine the window or you can walk around the side of the building and examine the window. Let's go ahead and do it. You go to page 4, and then there's some other options here. You can just walk sideways to page 6 or sideways to page 10, or 14. You could look through the window. So it has that kind of choose your own adventure, but there's not like a bunch of alternate stories so much as I could tell, as there just is like this building that you explore, and you can go down a room that doesn't have anything, and then they'll often, like at the bottom of the page, it will tell you if you want to go back. So it's not like you'll reach the end of the story and it says, oh, you died, try again. You'll just kind of wander around this building. There are later in the book, I think, like a few different endings that you can go to, but you can also cycle through pretty much all of them. So really, really fascinating format for a book, and I think a really interesting project. And God, like with Jason Shiga's stuff, it always boggles my mind how the artist pulled it off. It's a little less crazy because it's all page by page. There's something about how Jason Shiga manages to put them like multiple things all on one page that make it more mind-boggling to me. But this is still, I could see the flowchart on the wall of this being pretty crazy. There's things in here. I would definitely compare this more to like Myst, a game like Myst, or a puzzle game. There's a lot of these things that they're not like the end of the story, but you can't go any further. But they're like objects you can examine, and they'll give you clues, I think, to solve different problems in the book. There's definitely places where you have to enter codes. There's codes you have to enter to get through doors. Let's see. So like here, it'll say the computer. I can't tell what that says. 113 username is just your name. And then here there's a weird lock on the door, and earlier in the book it has shown you that these 3 symbols are the code, and so then you go to that, and then to jump to page 123. Here's another object where it's like this strange printout, and fonts, like the thicknesses are changing: bold, all caps, not all caps, italic. And it feels like there's something hidden in there. But there's at least I think there's a problem. Tori and I are maybe gonna actually do like a playthrough video of this, because I was showing it to her and she thought it looked kind of fun, and I thought maybe we could play this together. But while I was reading last night, you can see I've got these little sticky tabs, and when I had read Jason Shiga's Meanwhile, this is what I came up with to make sure that I could navigate the book, because it became very hard to remember if I'd already gone. I found myself going over stories over and over again, so I wanted to make sure that I'd read all the stories. And then this one, I wanted to make sure I wasn't just walking around this building in a loop. So I was very carefully like tracking all the options I've been to, and I got to a point where I couldn't go any further. Like I'd done every option and I couldn't go any further. And so I started going back through, and I had remembered that there was a page where I had been confused, where I was on page 76 and it told me to go to page 76. And I thought, okay, well, that's stupid. Like, I don't get that. So maybe they just meant go over here to page 77 or whatever. And then I flipped through to what seemed like the next thing that would lead me to somewhere new, which was page 106 leading to page 117. And then that legitimately seemed like, it was leading to something different. But then this says go to page 116, which is this, which seems like it should be linked to page 114, which is me messing with the computer, and that says go back to 114. So I don't know why 116 being in the hallway from here would lead me back to the computer. And then I looked at this, and this says go back to 106, which is where I'm already at. So I was starting to get the impression that there's some printing errors in here, where this should lead to page 106. This should lead to page 76. Like you turn the hall here and go down. Like it doesn't make any sense for this to cycle back on itself. Nor does this make sense that you would leave this room to come back to this room. Nor did it make sense that going here, like this said go to 117, so it seems like this would put you back to 106, not to 116. And at that point, I got extremely irritated with this book, and I thought, I don't know how you do a book like this and don't have 20 people do it 5 times to make sure you don't get an error like that. It feels like a printing error to me. Now, there could be something in one of these clues that I missed, and this is, I think, what me and Tori are going to try and play through it and see if I missed something that would be a clue to suggest how to handle these moments in the book, where if it like loops on itself, there's some clue to tell you how to actually find which page you're going to get to. But if that's a puzzle that you have to solve in the book, I don't know. That just seems like asking too much. But my impression is that this is an extremely egregious print error that takes an amazing, 400, almost 500 page book and stalls you out around 100 pages in, and you can't get any further, as far as I can tell. I don't know. Keep an eye out for when we play through and see if I can catch where I went wrong. But that's what I came to last night. I worked my way through that and continued going, and then I wound up following this long trail of hallways that went to this here. And again, I had come from 431 and got to this door, and then it has me back up to 201. Like, there's a code that needs to be solved here to move forward, and I didn't feel like I'd gotten any code information yet. And then this backs me up to 201, supposedly. And 201 was like just this door from another side. So I don't know if that just implies that the whole route I took there was irrelevant, and now I need to start backing up to 158. But it seemed like it's either just a really frustrating way to move through the book, or it seemed like another print error of some sort to me. And so that's when I just quit trying. Like, I thought I had solved the one print error and was able to get through the book, and then I was just like, you know what, this is either I'm not understanding how the book functions, or there's print they just weren't careful enough about editing the book, and so why bother engaging with it in the way it's meant to be engaged with. So then I just read the book straight through. And, you'll remember enough of kind of how it's bounced around that you can put things together. There's some other frustrating things, like there's this note on the door, and it's just printed so poorly it's hard to read, and that makes the code aspect of whatever's in there difficult. But then it seems purposeful. It says the document looks like it's been photocopied too many times. It's hard to make out the words. So there's just a lot of kind of intentionally obscure stuff. There's a thing where it's asking how many flowers you gathered, which is like, if you don't know that you need to be doing that, like, there's just a lot of things where, like, I feel like you should be taking notes while you're reading the book. So if you want to go through and actually do this, like, have a notepad to the side. Don't just think you can work your way through the book. You definitely need to be able to reference things without wanting to, like, go back and find things. But there's, like, flowers, and then I didn't know whether I'm supposed to count all the flowers or just the flowers in the images I'm given. So there's just, for a game book, the rules of it seem to be shifting and a little, I don't know, a little awkward. And it just makes me feel like there's errors in it or something. And that was frustrating. There's some beautiful imagery here. We're dealing, the story, to get to the story instead of just how the book functions, the story is, a guy has to go to this building, 2120, whatever the address is, 2120 Macmillan Drive, and he's a computer repair guy, and he's trying to find the computer to repair the computer. And so you get these really awesome glitch images throughout the book. And once you get to the end of the book, there are more narrative sequences that you can read through, and those do start to build up an intriguing story. And I don't want to give away the end of the book, but the end of the book, since I went and read through it, so I could actually understand at least where this is going. Like, if I could have navigated through the whole book, like, the emotional engagement of the frustration of the story starts to make you feel like the character, where you feel trapped and like, God, can I just get out of this? And then what happens at the end of the book would actually be really interesting. So it wouldn't be just a clever project. Like, one of the problems I had with Meanwhile, Jason Shiga's Meanwhile, it was pretty thin in terms of narrative. There was a lot of stuff about quantum mechanics and whatever, so it was conceptually tight with what it was doing, but there was no, like, emotional impact. This story actually has some interesting emotional impact to it. It's just, I found it so difficult to navigate. But I don't want to say 100% it's a printing error yet. I want to go back and redo and see if I missed something out. So maybe we'll record that, and I'll just attach that to the end of this video to confirm after I've recorded that. So if you're interested in seeing me try and play the book, keep watching. If you're interested in getting the book, I definitely recommend it as a cool formal experiment in comics. I'm a little worried, but yeah, hang out, and I'll go back and try and see if that's my mistake. If you don't want to watch me play the book, then I would go ahead and end the video now. Okay, we went to a stadium concert last night, so Tori's not in the mood to play a book game with me. We were around way too many people, but the benefits of dating a high-achieving nursing student is we have a boatload of highlighters and sticky notes all over the house. So what I'm going to do to try and verify if this book has a misprint or if I just missed something is I'm going to play this book up to that point so I don't give anything else away. And then we'll see what happens. And I'm going to use the highlighter to track the paths that I've been down to verify that as well. So the first one is, we're here on page 1. I'm not going to read the text either. You can read it on screen, or I would recommend going and buying the book. But basically, we're playing a hypercard game here, and we're a computer repair guy named Wade, and I'm showing up to 2120 Macmillan Drive, and I'm here to fix a computer, and then I get sucked into this just awful task of this game. So I'm gonna go to page 6, which brings me about the right side of the building, and there's nothing there. And I can go to page 8. I'm assuming this is all one big picture. I'm coloring in this book. This is how books like this should be interacted with. Okay, page 8. That's just the back door. So I'm going to examine the back door. This pen's not quite dark enough, so that's page 12. It's a little strange because like you get previews of the future by flipping through to the other pages, which is interesting. Okay, so just the back door, there's nothing there. So I'm going to color that, and that takes me back to page 8. I could go to page 10 and keep going around the building. Okay, and there's a spout, so we'll examine the downspout. Page 13, and that's got a paper on it, which is on all the way on page 62. So I'm going to go to page 62, and this has a code on it, so I'm going to write that down because I can't take a picture with my phone because I'm using my phone to record. So I'm pretty sure this is a code to a door past where I'm going to be at, but we'll write it down. So it'll be 3, 6, 7, 1, 8, 2, 9. So I wasn't doing that the first time, and that might have been a bad thing. And then this is going to take me back to 13. And then 13 doesn't have any go back seas instructions, which is a problem if you get later in the book, but that was just the page before. And then I could go back around to the front of the building, which is 1, or I could backtrack 8. So I'm going to backtrack just so I'm thorough with coloring all of my 6. And we're back to the beginning. And I've been to 6. Oh wait, I didn't go there yet. Wait, no, we gotta go back to 1. Okay, and then I could go to 10. I already been to 10. Go back to 6. How do I get to 5? Go to 6. 6, 10, 8, 1. 5 goes back to 1, so it's got to be connected. Oh, is that 4? Oh, let's just examine the window. Okay, examine the window. I'm just walking up to the window. Then I've been to 10. So I'm going to look through the window. And there's not really much there, so we'll go back to 4. And I don't see any clues. And then we'll go back to 1. So I've done all the options but go inside now. Which seems kind of obvious that they're going to want you to go inside, so we'll go inside. I don't need to go back to 1 because I'm done with that. So there's a piece of paper. You can examine that. And that's just page 3. And this is a note from myself that I've been here before. And I don't see anything on here that would be like a legit clue. There's a phone number. It's not a 555. Someone tried to call that. 410-489-5039. If you call that and leave a message, leave a response telling me what that number got. I'll send you a book. You gotta be in the United States. Okay, so we're gonna go back to 2. The first person to leave me, what's that? Area code 410-489-5039. I'll send you a free book. If you live in the United States. Okay, so we're gonna open the door. And that's page 16. And we're done with the outside of the building. We don't ever need to go back until the end of the book, where I'm trying to get back outside. So I'm kind of done with that first 15 pages. So now I'm in the building and I'm on page 16. Okay. Let's just start. I'm just going to always go with the lowest number on the page to be systematic about it. So we're going to go to 18. And that's basically just me turning around. And 26 is try the door. So I can close that down, because I'll go do that now. It's not the lowest number on the page, but let's open the door. To go back outside. Nope, I'm locked inside. So I'm stuck inside the building. And we'll go back to here. Then the next lowest number is 20. So I'm going to look to the side of the room. And I can examine this hole in the wall. And it has a wire hanging out. And that's just here. And there's 2942 ADAC, but I don't think that's a clue, but I don't know. I'm going to write it down. I'm not good at these kind of games, so probably because I don't pay attention to stuff like this. That's not a clue. That's irrelevant. Okay, but anyways, those just backs me up to 16. Wow. Okay. No, I'm going to back up to here. And I can look out the window. And I can see the parking lot. Nothing there. No clues. And that also supposedly takes me back to 16. But I'm going to go to here. And we can go to 18. Okay, let's look out this window. 27. Same window. 22. Just an empty wall. So I could go to 16 or 18 from there, but that's not that interesting. So I'll go back to here. 18, and that just puts me back to 16. So I'm back here. Okay, 22. Pretty sure we just did that. That's that. And 20. Done that. We'll go back to 16. Pretty sure I examined that hole already. Yep. And there's a frame, an empty faded spot on the wall. It looks like a painting or a photo used to hang here. So no clues there as far as I can tell. And any image is just stuff thrown to the back. Okay, so I've exhausted that room. Now I'm going to go to 28. This is the most fun. This is like watching people play video games on YouTube, right? The most fun video. I know 16's exhausted, so I'm going to close that route. Does anyone else color in their comics? Would anyone else do this? Do you solve puzzles if they're in your books? Okay, 30. There's a table with the outlet, so we're going to go look at the outlet on page 32. There's greasy substance. I don't see any clues there. And then there's a photo, and having skipped ahead in the book, I know that these photos are important. I know that the flowers are important, but that's because I've cheated. So it's a half photo of a man, and he's holding out one flower. So I'm going to keep track of flowers. I was a little confused about how to deal with the flowers in the book, though. So I've looked at that. Because I don't know if it's just the flowers in the photos or there's other drawings of flowers as well. But it's definitely one of the clues. Okay, back to 30. And then that just puts us back to 28. And I just opened the door. See, I was cruising along last night doing this, and I felt real confident about what I was doing. And I know I don't need to go back to 28, so I can close down that route. Okay, I'm just going to go, I'm not going to go in numerical order here, we'll just go, I'm pretty sure that's where I need to be, but we'll look at all these. 40. Nothing there. 33. Nothing there either. 42. So I can go in and look at that, and there's nothing there. It's a 10 by 12 room, so we've closed down all of these paths. And we're back to 34. Oh, we'll jump to 70. Let's do a big jump. Oh, right to it. Still nothing there. Back to 34, 39. This is a weird hallway with extra doors on one side. I guess the vanishing point's offset. 39. Nothing. A big lot of nothing. Okay, 36 for more nothing. Oh, okay. I can go into the room, and there's a radio, and I can look at that. So that's at least something. And this is on 904.7. And it has something here that just sounds like gibber. It basically says you can't tell what it is. So I don't know if that's a clue or not. And I can open the CD player. And this just says 116. And it says second floor access. And it says you need to take it with you. So I'm going to cheat and jump to page 116 and see if that's related. I might have skipped that. Oh, okay. So when you get to this point in the book, I'll need to go to 116 because I've got the disc. And then I'll be able to play it, and it will get me some messages to hear. Okay. I definitely missed that the first time around. But I can't use it yet. So it might be good to like play this with your phone. I don't know. It would be fun if these were like tipped in and you could pull them out when you got there, but that would make the book exorbitantly more expensive, I'm sure. So that's going to bring me back to 37. I mean, really, we know we're headed back to 34, but I want to make sure I color my little boxes so I'm super thorough here. Because I'm really, really distressed by what I believe is a misprint. Okay, and then 81. And I talked to Gareth, and he said he had a hard time navigating this. 81's also an empty room. He didn't identify a misprint, but he felt like he was just going in circles as well. Okay, so now we're going to actually move forward to 45. Here's 45. So I know I don't need to go back to 34. I've checked all of those options. We're going to go to 46. And I know there's no going back. 47. And I know I never need to go back. 49. And I know I never need to go back. See, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about that's interesting. An interesting problem with this versus a video game. And I don't think Wylesol ever took advantage of it, but I could see formally taking advantage of this where this leads to page 446 and 383, even though it's page 48. So I'm getting a preview of something else in the book. I guess this kind of suggests to me that flowers are important, but you get these kind of gestalt previews of what's going on in the rest of the book, even though they're not relevant to where you're at, and that's like an interesting time warpy thing to deal with in terms of narrative. But I don't really, I don't know, I didn't go enough through the book to see if it mattered, but I got the sense that not. Okay, we're on 51, so we'll close off 49 and we'll go to 56. There's a lot of this just going through hallways, filling up time in the book. So 51's closed off. We're going to go right next door to 52. See, now this is weird. I just came from 56, but if I go backwards, I go to 54. So I might have messed up in there somewhere. Like, I don't know how I turned the corner, but I can't go back to there. I wonder if there's a map as well. Anyways, we're on this page, so we'll exhaust all options. Let's open the door first. I need a key card, and the lock is broken, so can't get in there. So we'll go back to 57. I'm going to go to 54 since I feel like I should be able to go back to 56. I'm going to see what happens if I go to 54. See, this is weird because now I could go to 52. Or 57. But then this is going to bring me back to 56. Which only goes to 51 or 52. Where did I go from there? I went to 62? No. Wait, I'm confused. Okay, so I was supposed to go to 52, then 54. I missed something. 54, then 57. Oh, okay. I skipped something. I went to 57 instead of 52. Okay, well, whatever. So 60. Now it's getting a little confusing. So I can go to 61. Got multiple options now. I'm going to try and remember, just so I don't have to backtrack through everything, that 53 is the other path I didn't go down. I'll try and backtrack just to close these off to be sure, but okay, so 61. So I can go to 63. And there's a noise to investigate on 65. And it's an air conditioner on 58. And there's a piece of paper that brings me to 55. And I get a clown. But I don't think that's a clue. I don't know. But we'll draw it. It's got some noodles. I know flowers are important. It doesn't have any flowers. It's a sticker. So we're going to go back to 65, and that's closed now. And then continue down the hall, 67. See, now I'm on 67. Okay, so that would be equivalent of going here. So that's confusing. I would have preferred that it take me back to 63, because 63 led to 65. And I know this is going to continue down the hall, but just like when you're trying to keep track of it all, it'd be good. Okay, I'm back on this page. Now I'm going to 67. Okay, in 67 I can go to 68. And I came from 65. And 65 and 63 are kind of closed up now. Well, I'll leave it because I might have to backtrack. So 68, 69, 83. '84, and now I have 3 options, so we'll go 86, 91, freaky picture, 94. It's me in a mirror. I'm gonna look at the mirror, which is on 80. And there's definitely a code, 2P6MA1. And then that's gonna take me back to 86. And then I could go back to 84, or I could go to 87. Which this is also 87. And I don't need to go to 86. So 89. Just some broken lights. Nothing doing. Okay. And these will both take me back to the main. 84, 84, 84. So 103. And let's go to door to 88. I'm curious how many people are watching this. A, who have bothered to sit through all this, and B, who are going, yeah, I need to buy this book so I can do this. It's a fun idea. 95, 96. '97, 98. And there's a computer, so I can examine the computer before we do anything else. Okay, I can wake the computer up. Yeah, log in. I need a PIN number that I don't know, so I'm going to go back to here, and I'm going to look in the drawers. 109. Nothing in that one, and 110. Yep, we got a note. 107. And the computer login is 113. And your username is your name. So Wade 113. So we're going back to 100. And then we'll log back into the computer. And then this is, we'll write this in to be funny. 113. So I'm going to enter 113 and jump to page 113. And then I got to go to 114 because I'm waiting. Oh, my name is Wade Duffy. Okay, so then I'm here. That's where I needed that. 115. Open that. And then they give me, they change the code for the door. And that's like a sword, a 7, and an airplane. So we did that, and then we can play the disc, which I didn't do last time, I don't think. It was 116. The woman is repeating the numbers 4DK529. And that's the only clue there. So I'm not seeing anything that suggests that there's a way to interpret this problem on page 76 or whatever it was I identified. Okay, so both of these I'm just going to log out. Close them out, go back to 100. I can go up to 84, I can go to 105, which is another part of the room. See, now this is strange because 105 would take, 105 takes me to 98. Oh, and that's also 105. Okay. So I can say I've done that, and then we're going to examine the lock. flip over lock. And it's got my Sword 7 airplane. So I'm assuming that's just telling me to go to page 123. Oh boy, we're in more hallways. 118. And there's a dude here. And he's talking to me. And he's saying a lot of stuff. He's talking about going to the end of the book, and I just want to fix the computer. But I don't see anything in here that suggests that 76 should be 106, which was the problem if I remember correct. So anyways, this tells me to go back to 118, then to 123. So we're just going to back up out of here. 105. See, now this is better with this backing up step by step. 98. 97. Because then I can really verify that I've got everything. 96. 95. 93. And then back to 86. And that brings me back to 84. And I noticed that there was a door down in the computer room. Let's go back. This is a nice thing about having it as a comic rather than an actual like video game that you have to go through. When we were in the computer room, I noticed that there was staircase going up, but I realized it was going to 84. And I knew we were going to get back to 84, so I didn't worry about it too much. But we've done everything in the cafeteria now, as far as I can tell. So we'll back out of here. 83, 69, 68, 67, 65. But from here, they don't give you any indication of where to back up to, which is kind of frustrating. It's only going to lead me down the hall to 67. But I want to go back. But this is fine. 61. So that's another problem. Like, every page should have an indication of how to flow back to the page before it. You know, I should never just have a page like this that is just continue down the hall. Like, I should be able to back up because I've gone down the hall and exhausted all those options, and I forgot now potentially, and I want to know how to get back. Now, I know also investigate the noise on 65 and then continue down the hall to 67. Like, I can put that together and realize I've also been there. So I've exhausted this page, and that puts me back at 61 as well. But I don't know, it was nice to have that as is. And so when I go to 64 now, I've already closed those off. So I've been down all there. So I'm going to go back to 60. That puts me back to 57. Oh, I've examined the paper, so I've gone there. So where am I going? 57, 54, 52. Okay, so now I'm off to 44. So that's I've completely exhausted now that path. Like, so now we're to the only possible path that I can see. Okay, so that's exhausted. 71. And this is where I think the book gets into trouble, if I remember correct. Okay, we're on 71, and I came from 52, and everything before 52 is exhausted. Yeah. So I can close that. Let's open the door to 50. There's a big grinding noise, so I'm gonna go check out the noise on 72. And it's a photocopier gone awry. So we're gonna examine that bad boy. Not my job, I'm the computer guy. I got a paper, and there's a bunch of gibberish on here, but it says access code revised September. It's almost impossible to read this shit. But it looks like it says S1VJ31. So now I've got a number of these 2PGMA. I think I wrote a 1. I should do that. 4DK529 S1VJ31. So, I mean, those all seem kind of important, but that's nothing solvable yet. I don't think. If any code maniacs want to look at all my numbers that I've got here. But anyways, we're going back to 72, and that's it. I went in there and found a paper that was... The whole book, by the way, is like really clearly pixelated, but I think that's intentional. It's supposed to look old and shitty, like an old computer game. But I can't read anything else on there. There's 2P1, but you can't read the rest. So if this right here, this I can read, S1VJ31. But if this little bit right here, 2P1MO something, is supposed to be a clue, it's illegible. Your printing sucks. You failed. The book is unsolvable. I don't know. So we're going back now. 71. Okay, we can go forward to 77. And there's a shadow. So we're going to investigate the shadow. That's on 79. And that tells me to go back to 76 instead of 77, which is questionable. And 77 tells me to go to 77. So this page here loops back on itself. And I think that's a problem in the printing. Like, this is telling me to go to here. And when I'm on this page and nothing happens, it tells me to go back to page 76. Now, page 76 tells me to go to page 76. And there's no issue with my ability to read that. That says 76. Now, this, the only reason I got there is because I backed out of 78, and then this is telling me to go to 71, which backs me right up to here, and then I'm closed. I'm in a closed loop at this point. There's nowhere else I can go. So yeah, and there was no, like, I've covered every possibility leading up to this. Luckily, there's nothing to back up to at this point in the book. Oh wait, I can go forward to 79. Investigate shadow. Okay, so 79. Let's keep going then. I could be wrong here. 68. But it's these two pages that loop that concern me. Okay, if I go to 68, then it just brings me back to 69, which I've already done. So that's no use. I'm like going in a loop there now. And then I just go back to the cafeteria thing, which I've already been. So that's bringing me in some kind of loop as well. So going to page 79 doesn't get me any new information. So this tells me to go back to 78. 78 tells me to go to 76. And then 76 tells me to go to 76 or 71. And 71, I've already been there as well. So at this point in the book, this is the point that I reached where I started getting really confused. I've now closed off every option, and 77, the only way to back out of it is to go to 77, and 76, the only way to move forward is to just stay on 76. So I think that, yeah, I'm pretty sure I've confirmed now, pretty sure I've proven, unless there's something in all these codes, because these are the only codes that you've been given up till here. There's no other. I've gone down every path up to this point in the book. I wasn't reading this carefully, but when I was reading this, there was nothing about 76 or 76 should be interpreted as some other thing unless that's hidden in here. It's all the dialogue is pretty much just like, hey, can I talk to you? Oh, that's not really a shadow. Maybe it's just a person for a minute. Maybe I should go back. Maybe I could come back later. And then that one conversation, like this video, yeah, there's nothing on that page that suggests it. And then there was the room with the guy in it, and who knows where that's at. But those are the only like legit here. This guy, he's shiny. Oh, there's a door there. Okay, 120. Let's see what's there. You'll need a code for that door. What's the code? I don't know. Examine the lock. So these might get entered into the lock, but I wouldn't know what order to put them in. And you could find them in different orders, technically. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look at the numbers. So it's 1, 2, 6 are the only way that numbers land in here. So I'm going to try 126. And that makes sense because I'm not going too crazy in the book. Like, I'm not going too crazy far. So, okay. Maybe there's not the problem with 76. Maybe you're supposed to be in a loop here and this is the trick out of it. Okay. I'm going to go now until I wind up on 106 and see what happens. 125. I didn't get to this part. This is new to me. I didn't notice that door and I didn't solve the code, but I was able to solve the code now. So maybe there's hope. 125. 129. 130. 131. 133. 135. Just hallways forever. 137. 138. Okay, and then I have some options here. 146. 143. Something on the floor. When flowers blossom, so does love. It's a tacky decoration, a wooden sign with a quote about love. No wonder it was left here. It's ugly. Okay, now I'm gonna mark question flowers, and there's 4 of them on there. Because I don't know if I'm supposed to count those ones. Based on what I skipped ahead and cheated and saw, I know I'm supposed to count flowers, but I don't know which ones. So now we're gonna back out of here to 146. $138. This also brings me back to 146. Okay, and 137 is backwards, so what's 144? A door. Uh-oh. Looks like it's going to a big room. Nope. 170. $200. Oh, we're jumping all over the place now. Well, I got here somehow when I figured out how to cheat my way by jumping to 106. 204. There's a naked person in there. That's interesting. $209. $225. Oh, I'm going into the dark. 227. 228. 230. 232. 260. That's a big jump. I'm skipping over all my future. 260. I've obviously been down all this path before. I don't know, at some point I just jumped to the page I thought I was supposed to be at because of that kerfuffle on 76 and 77. 264. I got some bodies on a rack. 266. I'm going back behind somebody's desk here. See, like that. That's a preview I don't necessarily need. What is that? That's strange. 290. 300. And another very strange preview of what may be to come in my future if I navigate this book correctly. 320. 380. And a creepy lady to talk to. I really wonder if George Wylesol had a map of this building. Obviously had some kind of hyperlink map built for this whole thing. But I wonder if the building's actually possible. Like in terms of how everything connects, like the right turns, and am I underneath a certain thing? Like if you map this out, would it make physical sense? 412. I get the sense not. Given the outside of the building. Oh, that is terrifying. And I really hope this navigates me back to my last checkpoint. Because I don't remember where we left off now. 420. $425. Uh-oh. I don't know why I put a sticky on there. 431. Getting towards the end of the book here. 433. I think this leads to the second confusing spot that I was at. Yeah, okay, so we were on 431. And I turn the corner and I see this door. And it just says 7. When I enter the second row of codes, I hear the same voice from the loudspeaker. So I can't, at this point, actually input a code. Like, I can't solve a puzzle and go to another page. And this is where I quit reading the book. I don't know how maybe I did go, I obviously went through that path, but I came from this page. I came from 431. I turned the corner and I got to this door. So I would say, okay, dead end. I can't do anything there. I want to back up. And then it says to go to 201, which doesn't make any sense. And then when I look here, it says 431, which would get me back to here. So I'm speculating that that might be a misprint as well. Because if I go, let's put a sticky note there so I can get back to it. If we go to 201, this is another point I hit last night that was really frustrating. Because I thought, okay, I found the one glitch in the book. And then I ran into another one, and that's when I said, oh, fuck that. I'm not dealing with this. Because when you get to 201 and you back up, investigate keypad 203, that's like actually, okay, now I can enter a code. Or investigate the door, which is 202, you know, so I can enter a code there as well. But there's nothing to suggest that I would get to page 433. And then I got to go to 158 from there. So it's like when I'm trying to back up, I'm actually moving forward. And then 158 is like this. So I don't know. I'm going to leave. This tells me there's nowhere to move from this but to 201. So it's weird. You go down that whole hall and you can't skip back to 431. But this is 431. So I'm going to leave a sticky note here. And then I'm going to leave a sticky note at 201. And I haven't had any more codes that I've come across, so I don't know that this whole thing here is solvable yet. Based on anything else I've picked up. So 201. Because these are obviously key points I need to be at, but I think it's messed up. Like, this just doesn't make sense to me. How 431 leads to this, but this leads back to 431. And it's an open hallway. So, like, do I turn the corner and get a hallway, or do I turn a corner and get this? So I think that's a misprint. I think this needs to be I think this needs to say 432, and it says 433. I think that's a misprint right here. I think that should be 432, because that would bring me to this, and then the backup is 431, and then you continue to 447. So that's another one that I identified as, I think it's a misprint. And in a book like this, god damn it, you should have had like 5 people play it 10 times a piece to make sure that everything's right. It's like you got to debug the program before you put your game out. 454. $478. And it's so hard not to be like just ridiculously critical of this book for this reason. 478, that brings me to 82. And I get a glimpse of the end there for no good reason. So I think that's a problem of the structure of a book like this. I would have put that on the last page by itself, just so you couldn't get the preview unless there was some narrative reason. So now I'm back to 82. We're going to go to 90. 106. Okay, see, now this leads to 106. And if you go to 106, no, maybe it was 116. I don't know. Okay, 106, 117. 122. 124. 148. I might end up playing this whole book. Okay, but now 148, I'm back into somewhere I've been. So then I'm going to back up 124. See how far I can back up. 122. 117. Okay, and then 117 backs me up to 116, which is this page. So that doesn't make any sense either. That's a misprint. Where I came from, this was the other error I found, and it loops again. 106, let me scribble here and be angry. 106, if you back up, leads you to 106. So I think page 76, this is my speculation on where the fuck up happened. I think page 76 is supposed to lead you to 106, and 106 is supposed to lead you to 76. I think that's what I figured last night. So once I figured that, then I jumped and I went to 117, and that's how I wound up down the whole path of the thing that I did do. And I noted also that on page 117 it told me to go 116, and that was this, and that didn't make any sense either. So that was really like, oh my god, they really like screwed the pooch on this whole chain of numbers here. And then I got down to that other one, like, where the fuck am I supposed to go from here? 106. Okay, I'm in a closed loop. That's it. We're done. I can't go anywhere from there. 117. That takes me to 122. 124. 148. And I've been there. I've been to 155, 170, 200. So it's just back in that whole loop that's going to wind up with me here, which doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to backtrack now from here and see what happens. So 431, which I think 431 was supposed to say 432, not 433. So I'm going to back up here. 431, 425. So this book has wire chart problems in at least 2 places, and they're significant places. They're places that you can't, like, if those page numbers don't connect, you're not getting anywhere. So the book became the game became completely unplayable, and that's the point where I just went and read it through, and just tried to get a sense of what the theme of the book was, so I could do a review of it, and say that I think there's this major misprint issue that's really fucking it up, and they need to track down where that issue came from, if that was with Wylesol, or if someone that put this book together, like designer, like, I don't know. It's pretty egregious for a book that he obviously spent this much time on. But I didn't want to just talk about that, so I read through the book so I could give some kind of, like, if it worked, like, thematic assessment. And the thematic assessment, I liked it. If I would have been able to play it through, I think it would have been not just a gimmick book. It would have been something that had, like, it's frustrating and difficult, and so you would feel what the character's going through. But at the point where it's literally unplayable, like, then the sense of, like, God, I'm trapped in hell is just too legitimate, because you're trapped, and there's, like, this whole interesting thing that you're never going to have access to, and there's no reason in the story for that. And I don't, in all of these pages, one of the reasons I wanted to do this is to verify it, see if I missed anything. The other one is to see if I had missed some clue that gave me some way to interpret, like, okay, I've got to these, I'm going 290, I've got to these pages, and I didn't understand that what I thought was a misprint was actually, like, a puzzle to be solved, but I haven't seen anything in any of the material that I've gone through up to this point that suggests that. So I'm convinced it's a misprint that has ruined an otherwise really compelling project. But I'd be curious to see what other people come to, or if this gets out and George Wylesol sees it. I really don't want to shit on your project. I really like it, and I'd love to talk to you to see if I'm correct, and talk about what, like, how that happened, and not trying to throw a publisher or a printer or the designer or anyone under the bus. It's just an interesting thing. But I really, really, really am convinced now. I mean, I was pretty sure last night, but I'm getting even more convinced that there really is a massive printing error in this. Because I don't think I'm going to back up to something that gives me much of a choice either. I think I'm in a fully closed loop at this point. Yeah, I'm in a fully closed loop. $148. Yeah, so that loop's closed. Like, I can't go on any of those paths now, unless I like follow this wrong numbering in a way that just doesn't make sense to me. So I can try that. I can go, okay, maybe that's what he wants. Like, you don't, like, maybe, I don't know how you back out of this to this, but not back out of this to this. But okay, let's assume this isn't a misprint. We'll go to 201. Supremely frustrating for a project like this. So I'm just gonna, I want to back out of here. I'm gonna go to 158 because I want to see where I would have need to gotten to get to here. Okay, in 158, I could have come from a lot of places, and there's a lot of doors to go to. And I go through that one. So at 160, 162. I can't get into those unless I solve some puzzles. So I'm assuming the preceding page, if we're backing up, is 149. And then 142, 141, 140, 138, 137, 134, 135, 133. I got here somehow. 135, 134. One 37, 38. Okay, that is a path I hadn't gone down. 134. One 35, 133, 131, 130, 129, 125, 120, 120, 120. And that's going to bring me back to that door I missed. Okay. I don't know, maybe those pages are intended to be loops. Okay, so there's nothing preceding this. So then it's this. 140. And there's nothing there for me, so I'll close it as I go. So 136. 128. 132. Nothing there. But see, instead of leading me back on the path, it's telling me to go to 142. Which is fine, it brings me back to here quicker, but now I just, for my own sake, I can't go and like really confirm that I've been through all of this. Because see, like I could come back to here and go to 145, so it didn't let me back up. Oh, but they're both 145. Okay. But I'm going to follow that again now and close all these out. Just because I'm OCD. 128, 132, 142. What's on 125? Oh, that's this whole thing. Well, anyways, we're going to go to 142. And that goes to 145. And I can close that. And that just brings me back to this. So that was all for nothing. And then those two, you can't do anything unless you've solved codes. You have to examine the rope. And there's a lock to solve. So 201. I guess you could play the book. I guess those are just loops. 201. And that takes me down the whole train to this door. 186. It's a boardroom. 169. Examine printouts. Oh, this page. So me one once thought of me when I was 18, and then I was sent as a father I will provide, and I built you this, my creator fountain. 9 billion dreams. Run, expand, help for the basement. Filter 434. Enter 430. So that might be a clue that there's an intentional misprinting. Run 30. Filter 134 equals 430. Will he know he will die? Version 2090. I don't know. So maybe that's a hint, but it's hard to read this. It's a bunch of gibberish. But anyways, 158. So it brings back to here. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but those pages that I showed, the 106.70 or the 116, what was it? The 117, 116. And then the 67 and the 20 or 433, 432 combos were where I got caught up and got confused. So I don't know. I guess I was able to get to this room here with all the doors without jumping. So maybe it's just because I missed that door that went to, I think it was to 120. But still, I'm confused about those numbers. And those are what turned me off and made it difficult for me to follow my system. Like, because I couldn't, once I got to this one, I couldn't backtrack. So when I couldn't backtrack, then I couldn't see that I'd missed a door or missed a turn or missed an option. So I don't know. I mean, maybe they're not a hindrance to other people playing the book, but that's what I was pointing out. I just wanted to get to that point in the book. I don't want to play through the whole thing. This has been a long ass video anyways. So if you made it this far, kudos to you. I've already said I would give away a book for another reason, so we won't do that. But if you've made it this far, thanks for following along. And if anyone knows anything about those kind of loop pages that I found and could fill me in on what that's all about, that would be awesome. Thanks for following along. Take it away, Jack.
You want to see all these books? Smash that subscribe button and the like button and the bell, and then you get them.